A very good afternoon to each one of you. Thank you so much for joining us today with the sixth edition of Business Opportunity Over Chai. With a great hope that you all are doing great at your places, we introduce our panelist, Chairman, Franchise India Group, Mr. Maria, and our MD, Ms. Sonia Chaudhary, for this particular edition of our webinar series. We also welcome our brand for the day, which is Needs. They are Gurgaon based uh, uh, super I'm so sorry, they are Gurgaon based supermarket retail chain. They already are having 30 plus running stores. They started their journey in 2001. We have a great opportunity to interact with Ajay Dhar, who is the founder of this particular retail chain, as well as Amit Nigam, who is the co-partner for this particular brand. May I invite Ajay and Amit to take it further. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming in. Let me just give you a brief about our stores. We opened our first store in October 2000, and from there we carried on, and we have approximately 30 stores right now. Most of our outlets are in Gurgaon. We have one outlet in Delhi, which is of around 5,000 square feet, and we are literally one of the oldest brands in India right now. We came at least 2 years before Big Bazaar, so that's a kind of a point which can be noted in a way. And we actually expanded slowly. We did not really rush into things, and we are profitable right now. And Amit, please take over from here.
Yeah. Uh, as Mr. biggest strength is that we have been in this business for the past 19 years with a very stable and profitable economics that we have on our stores. So after 19 years, now we feel that we are strong enough in terms of the processes that we have made, whether it be related to the operations or the marketing or the pilferage management and the supply chain. So we have a deep supply chain now. So now we feel that we are in a good phase to help others get opportunity to get into this trade basically. And that's why now we have decided to expand ourselves pan India through franchising mode. Hello.
Yes, Amit, you can continue.
So if you can if you can actually take us to the previous slide. Yeah. So if we talk about our outlets, as we discussed that we have around 30 running outlets as of now. And our outlets range in size from like 500 to 15,000 square feet. So we have outlets ranging from 500 to 15,000 square feet. Our flagship outlet is in Vatika Vatika. And in that outlet, we have more than 30,000 SKUs at a single outlet. So whether we talk in terms of range or the number sizes of the outlets, we are we have managed all types. So we are ready with those kind of processes which can handle any type of outlet. Now, as we said that we stand out because our focus is always customer, that how to give the best services to the customer, and at the same time how to make the outlets profitable, how to keep the outlets profitable. So we are not into that kind of a mode where we rush too much and we don't look at profitability. So that's our biggest strength, that all our outlets are profitable, and whatever outlets we have opened till date, there has been not a single case where we had to close any outlet because of non-profitability. So yeah, next slide please. Yeah, so with Needs we are partners as Nigams Holding as growth partner. So we established Nigams Holding in 2014, and we partner with good brands like Needs to expand them pan-India. So till now, we have successfully exited 3 companies, and now we are with Needs to expand them pan-India. If we talk about Mr. Ajay Dhar, next slide, please. So if you talk about Mr. Dhar, so he sort of single-handedly has basically is instrumental in getting Needs from a single store in 2001 to the current strength. And today Needs as such is a brand name to reckon with in Gurgaon and nearby areas. And that is only possible because of the strength and hard work of Mr. Dhar. And his strengths are like strategic planning, negotiation skills, etc. So coming over to Nigam's Holdings, we are a set of individuals who are from different professional backgrounds, and we have come up for the specific purpose that we want to make good Indian brands go basically develop their strengths pan-India and then globally also. So we are basically 4 major partners in Nigam's Holdings. You can see in the PPT their profiles. Now coming over to the business basically. So in Needs, basically we are offering 2 kinds of franchisee as of now. One is the master franchisee and another is the outlet franchisee. So in case of master franchisee, basically master franchisee is kind of a FOCO model, franchisee owned company operated, where the master franchisee would be investing a certain amount and they will be getting rights for a certain region. And that region can be for a small city, it can be a city also, for a cluster of cities also. For a metro, it can be a defined region of a metro also. So we define a region where the master gets the rights, and whatever franchisee outlets are opened in those regions, they come under the master, and the master gets a certain revenue percentage out of those franchise outlets as well as a part of their franchisee fees. The major role of the master is that they have to be our partner in developing the outlets in that region. So developing the outlets, business development, getting more investors on board with us to expand the brand Needs in their master region. That is the major role and responsibility of the master. The day-to-day operations, logistics, etc. will be taken care by the brand, that is Needs itself. So what we offer whenever we are going to a new city, the main thing that we can offer is that we have a very strong purchasing backbone. And that backbone we have direct codes with most of the major companies because of our buying power. And wherever we will go pan India, we will be able to get the products at that kind of discount and with that kind of availability, because the same code will be applied pan India for the procurement. Apart from that, as we discussed, our processes, etc. is the added advantage. Second that we are offering is the outlet franchisee. So in case of outlet franchisee, it's a company guided and supported FOFO model, which is franchisee owned, franchisee operated, because we believe that the entrepreneur himself or herself should be there on the floor to make the difference. So we believe in FOFO model. Now, for an outlet, the perfect location, since it's a B2C customer centric business, so we need a ground floor property in either dense residential or high street. That is the requirement. Now, where do we pitch in? We come in setting up the outlet. So first of all, once we decide to go ahead, the first support comes in terms of searching for the property. So we go out with you and we search for the best possible property. Once the property is finalized, we provide you the interior layouts, etc. And then you can get it constructed that way yourself. So setting up the outlet. After setting up the outlet, we hire the manpower for you. We train them for you. Then we make them understand the processes. We get those processes implemented at the outlet level. That process takes around 1.5 month, 2 months time. Once the processes are stabilized, we hand over the outlet to you. And after that, the support is first of all the supply chain. So you will get the goods at your outlet. No hassle of logistics, no hassle of availability, etc. We will take care of the supply chain. Second, there would be a constant monthly, basically marketing research and operational overview of the outlets to see that whether the outlet is running perfectly fine, and data analysis to see that what SKUs are going out, what SKUs are in shortage, and what are the prices, etc. So we do market research on a monthly basis where we go out in nearby areas to see what all SKUs are there in the market, their prices, etc., etc. Apart from that, the other support you will get is in terms of marketing and promotions. So marketing, we will be doing two kinds of marketing. One is your BTL marketing and one is your digital marketing. So digital marketing is like Facebook, Google ads, etc., etc. That digital marketing we'll be doing from our corporate office only, which is in Gurgaon basically. Apart from that, BTL marketing is below the line marketing. So that will be done in a radius of around 2 to 3 kilometers of the outlet, like pamphlet distribution, society hoardings, etc., etc. So in that, we will provide you the designs, the strategy, what to do, the discount coupons, how much to do, and you can get it done yourself. And finally, the tech and software support. So we have our own internal ERP, which we will be providing you, and the support related to that, whether in terms of initial understanding support or later on service related support. As we discussed, the major benefit of tying up with Needs is that you will get a hassle-free supply chain. So we have a centralized procurement team, which basically is whose only task is to find out that where we are getting the best prices, the best availability, etc. So that procurement team is increasing in size day by day with our expansion. You will be having a single supply source, which is generally the major headache part of any grocery outlet, that there are multiple supply sources. So they have to deal with multiple vendors, multiple payment schedules, availabilities, etc. So you will be having a single supply source, which would be us. And that would definitely lead to better margins and a return on investment. So let's come over to the financials basically. So in case of a master,
yes, I'm sorry, I need to move. Gaurav, I apologize, but I have a meeting because of the COVID thing. The commissioners are really troubling me right now. So really apologize. I need to move out. Please carry on now. Thank you.
Understand that you are essential service. So
yeah,
look after yourself and your team and people, but you're doing a great service to be open.
Thank you. And
Thank
stay
you.
safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Yes, Amit, please carry on.
Yeah. So to continue, basically coming over to financials. So let's talk about master franchisee. So in case of master franchisee, the overall cost is somewhere around 30 lakh rupees. In that, what we are covering is basically there is an inventory deposit of around 5 lakh rupees. Apart from that, there is infra setup cost, appliances cost, equipment cost, which comes to somewhere around 6 lakh rupees. Then there is a promotions cost. So promotions would be majorly to get new investors for our outlets in your region. So it would be more of a digital promotions basically that we would be doing. So our target would be that once we open a city, like once we open a master franchisee in a city, our target would be to have at least 6 to 7 outlets within the next 8-9 months in that master region. And a master region, we generally carve out in a way that it has a scope of at least 15 outlets. So 15 outlets over a period of 1.5 to 2 years, but of course, 6 to 7 outlets within 8 to 9 months of opening that outlet. So there is a franchisee fee of 10 lakhs, and then there is a backend support and development fee of around 7 lakh rupees. And what the master gets is that master basically gets 50% of the franchisee fee of any new outlet that is opening in that area. So whatever new outlet of Needs will come in your master region, the master will get 50% of that franchisee fee. And apart from that, they will get a revenue share, basically percentage of the total sales that is happening in their master region through whatever outlets, whether they be their own outlets or outlets owned by others, they get somewhere around 0.35% of the total sales. Now, since grocery is a volume game, so the percentages look small, but they become very big when you multiply them with the volumes. As such, for 1,000 square feet outlet at a decent location, the expectation is that, expectation based on our previous history, based on our experience, the expectation is that 1,000 square feet outlet will be doing a business of around 30-35 lakh rupees per month. So even if there are 7 outlets working under you, that means a number of around 2.5 CR per month, a sales of around 2.5 CR per month. Now, based on these two revenue sources, the expected ROI of a master averaged over 5 years is approximately 58% per year, and the expected payback period is around 16 months. So if we want to look at the numbers now, one thing I would like to add here is that in case of a master, we need a warehouse of around 1,000 square feet, but the rentals, etc. of that are taken care by the brand. So in case of master franchisee, since it's a FOCO model, so the franchisee doesn't have any operational cost to bear. Now, to see it in detail, basically, if we want to go into details, yeah, so here you can see that month on month, what is our rollout plan in terms of the outlets. The first row is franchisee outlets new. So month 1, we start with the first outlet, which would be, of course, master franchisee has to open 1 outlet. So first one would be your outlet. Then within 3 months, we will open another outlet. Then 2 months, 1 outlet. And then every 2 months, we plan to open a single outlet. Based on that, we have calculated the gross merchandise value, which is basically your overall sales. And then your revenue at around 0.35% and franchisee fee commission at 50%. And based on that, we have created the EBITDA for you, which is basically the net profit that you will be getting. So you can go through the sheet, and if any doubts, definitely we can come over during Q&A to discuss those doubts. Now, the next one is outlet franchisee. In case of outlet, as we discussed, we are running outlets in sizes ranging from 500 to 15,000 square feet. So we can work on any area size based on the market demand and the demand of our franchisee partner. But we have made a standardized model here of 1,000 square feet. So what if we are opening a 1,000 square feet outlet? In case of a 1,000 square feet outlet, the overall cost of setting up the outlet is approximately 25 lakh rupees, which includes your infra setup cost of around 7.5 lakhs, the appliances cost of around 3 lakhs, equipment cost of around 2 lakhs, and promotion of around 7.4, and franchisee fee of 5 lakhs. Out of these all amounts, what you have to pay to us, the brand needs basically, is only the franchisee fee part, which is 5 lakh rupees. Rest all is an indicative amount, and you yourself have to spend that. So like if we talk about equipment, so we have a list of standardized equipments. We'll provide you that list, and you can purchase those equipments yourself. If you require our help in any place in equipments, appliances, or infra setup, we are definitely there to help you. But we prefer that you do it yourself, so that there is complete transparency in that process. Apart from that, there is an inventory cost of around 12 lakh rupees. So there would be, based on the market conditions and area and all that, there would be an inventory of around 10 to 12 lakhs in a 1,000 square feet outlet. So whatever amount you will basically give it to us, the equivalent amount inventory will be given to you. And then this inventory will be in rotation. So you don't have to put the money again and again. This 12 lakhs is one time, and then this inventory will be in rotation to make the sales happen. Now, just the previous slide only. Yeah. So basically the approx gross margin we see is approximately 18 to 20%, the gross margins in your basket. These gross margins can differ, can change slightly based on the market. So in some markets where suppose there are more of those products which have high margin are selling, this might go up to 21-22% also. And suppose in some markets where there's those products selling more, where there is lesser margin, it might go to 17-18% also. So gross margin on an average is around 18 to 20%. And based on the projections that 1,000 square feet outlet should be able to reach a number of around 30-31 lakhs of sale in around 8 to 9 months. Not of course from the first month. It will slowly and slowly increase with marketing and all. And in 8 to 9 months, it will reach a number of around 30-31 lakh rupees. So based on those projections, the expected ROI is around 49%. And the payback period is around 24 months. Now, if you go to the next slide, we can see these numbers more in detail. So like first row is your GMV expected on a monthly basis. So it's like first month we are expecting around 7 lakh rupees, second month around 10 lakh rupees, third month 14. Slowly and slowly in 9 to 10 months time, it will reach a number of around 30 to 31 lakh rupees. Then based on the average order size, which is around 750, we would be catering to around 130 orders per day. Now, while calculating this, we have taken the CMV, which is the customer monthly value. We have taken the customer monthly value to be around 3,000 rupees. So if we talk about groceries, the average customer purchase in a month is approximately 12 to 15,000 rupees for a 4-member family. So what we have taken is that basically 25% of that will be spent with us by our permanent customers. So we have taken an average CMV, customer monthly value, of around 3,000 rupees. Now the next, the pink ones, the orange ones give you the costs involved, operating cost, which is like product cost, the discounts that you would be giving, the transaction charges of credit cards and Paytm, etc., the pilferage, salaries, marketing budgets. So after like we have a initial marketing budget of around 6 lakhs in BTL, which we would be utilizing in the first 6 months. After 6 months, we will be spending approximately 1% of our total sales in BTL marketing. Then after marketing, rentals, electricity, telephone, etc., etc., these are the costs. After deducting these costs, the final row is your EBITDA, the monthly net profit or loss. So the first 3 months it will take to get operationally break even, and after 3 months we expect that we start getting profits. And on stabilization, basically a profit of approximately 1.5 to 1.6 lakh per month is what we are looking at from an outlet of around 1,000 square feet size. So based on these numbers, you can see the payback period is around 24 months and the average ROI over 5 years is around 49%. So to sum it up, as discussed, our USPs are that we have strong and stable processes, which we have developed over 20 years. And we have an amazing procurement depth because of our huge volumes and relationships over the past, relationship with the companies over the past 19 years. And the third thing is that we have a very strong central analytics and marketing team, which help you in finalizing the SKUs and basically putting the price tag on them and giving the discount coupons and interacting and engaging the customers with us. If we talk about future upsides, so of course, offline stores will be given an online presence. So one way of giving that online presence is through third-party apps like Swiggy, Amazon, etc. Another is that we will be we have a target that in around 1.5 years, we will be opening around 70 to 80 outlets of ours pan India. And after that, we will be having our own online medium also. So that medium will definitely boost the sales of all the offline stores beyond the 30, 31, 32 lakh point that we were discussing right now. And as such, Nigams Holding already have a experience in running that kind of an online platform. So we expect that with this strength of offline with our side, we will be able to do very good in that field also. Yeah, so I think that's the overall overview about what we are offering. And now I think we are open for any kind of questions. So please.
So thank you, Amit. Thank you for the detailed brief, and we really appreciate how you ran through the whole the journey of needs, which is, as Mr. Dhar said, it is 19 years. 19 is a long time to really understand the business and continue to perform. And also, you've been very focused on one market. There are very handful of operators in Delhi NCR who've sustained in what I call modern chains retail, especially in the food, grocery, and a supermarket space. So before I think we start with the taking a lot of questions, because we have quite a number of attendees, and it's obviously the interest today we are getting at Franchise India, particularly for supermarket brands and things, that is very, very high. It's also one very emotional, because people think that these businesses are much more stable, in especially in the challenging times. We are seeing all supermarkets still in business, doing a rather much spike up business. That's why Mr. Dhar has to also leave, because the demand side is greater than what people can feed.
Yeah, yeah.
Second, I think by large, Indians are shopkeepers. So we love shopkeeping. So we like running stores. We understand one basic principle: to buy a product at X, put a little value add, and sell it at Y, and make a margin on that. So this is the simplest thing we have learned for generations and generations. So it's not a business which is very difficult for Indians to understand. Rather, in India, we have to every 80 Indians one store. So we are the largest retail density in the world. So that's our favorite business. That's what we do world over. I think we are champions of that. So if you go to US, you go to Canada, you go to London, you go to Singapore, anywhere you see, wherever you will find a small store being run, you will find an Indian sitting behind the counter, and we are very, very good at it. So I think this is one of the professions which we all love. So this is something which, so in franchising, because I have really seen, while the demand side of supermarkets were always very high, but franchising, not many people are successfully able to do that. Even the big companies like Kishore Biani's small formats and a lot of other players sometimes struggled in franchising, and there are many reasons for it. So franchising is essentially divided into four parts, and we rate every single company into that four pieces. One is what I call credibility. You obviously are a credible brand. You have been surviving for 19 years, and obviously not closed any store tells a lot of value in terms of how you run profitability to this business. So you have a strong credibility. So full points on that. The second is, I think, scalability. I see, as I said, this is the most in demand business. Even if you open up 5,000 stores or 10,000 stores of needs, you still have more demand available for doing it. So I have no problem on scalability. So full points on that. From a sustainability viewpoint, I remember a long time back when this question was asked to, one of the person asked Kishorji that why would he take his franchise or become a partner with that? And the gentleman said, the franchisee, he says, I see no inventory risk. If I put my inventory for a 5% discount, I'll be sold out in next 2 hours. So you don't carry any inventory risk in that. So it's a much sustainable model. The fourth point, which is where I would like your comments on, which is my point of need more understanding, is predictability. So this business, if I see predictability comes from two things. One, from a consumer demand viewpoint, I have no problem on that also, because I think the consumer demand for a business like this is always there. While you have to do some analytic of seeing how much demand, which neighborhoods, where we need to do that, and so on. But the second part of predictability is also business economics. And that's where my worry really comes in. So this would be divided into further, I think, three parts. One, the business model itself. Business model would mean how much is your incomes, what is your cost, and what is your profitability. These businesses are extremely tight on margins. So sometimes this equation doesn't work. You have a lot of incomes because sales happens, but your cost is so high, both for the cost of product or your occupancy cost, which would come down now, I'm sure. But so your profitability is never there, or it's very tight. And if it is done between three people, it becomes tight. So that's one part of the piece, which I would like to understand, what I call the business model. And you can talk about your capability of supply chain margins and a little bit on your private label strategy, that how do you improve the margin part of it. So that's one part. The second part, which is influence. A lot of local influence happens in these businesses. While it looks like that we can supply, a lot of people are asking question that I can go to South, I can go to West, places like that. But I know when I go to supermarkets in West, I see a lot of different product lines. So but 20-25% of product line is unique to that market. Similar, South has an extremely different product line. I mean, They consume a lot of even basic grocery products, which are so different and to what is not in North. Rather, even if you run something in North in the South Indian way, I mean, you have to go to stores which would have that product available. So it's drastically unique in that sense. So what kind of a local influence and how you're ready for the local influence? And the third part is, what do you see other risks which our investors should know in this business? Because you are an entrepreneur yourself, and you know there are always risks. There are some risk available in every business. So I have three questions. What is your business model? How do you define and how you improve margins? And what is different from if I started my own grocery stores to what is partnering with Need? The second part is how do you bring in local influence? And third part is what is the risk available on this? Over to you.
Okay. Yeah. So your first part, that how are do the economics work? So the thing is that first of all, that's what we said, that if you are opening first outlet, then it becomes really tough, because the market, the availability of the products, the market intelligence, and the margins, both are issues. Now, in our case, since we have experience from past 19 years, so we have good margins. And here what happens is that because of the volume, each and every percent makes a difference. So someone having a 15% margin and someone having a 18% margin in this business makes a huge difference. So first thing is this. Second, as you as you discussed, private labeling. So of course we are now into private labeling also. So we have our own dals, we have our own rice brand also, we have our internal bakery items also. And these, like bakery items, etc., of course you can go into them, we are manufacturing them, so you can go into them once you have a good volume. But these items have huge margins. So all these items contribute in getting our margins to around 19-20% of the total. So once you add that volume, then of course second part is your tech. So if your processes are smooth, you can save at least 15-20% on your manpower part. And pilferage is the most important thing. So I think that's why we prefer the model to be a FOFO model, because once you go into a FOFO model where hello, yeah, so once you go into a FOFO model where the entrepreneur himself or herself is there on the ground, so these two things, basically like salaries and the pilferage, are taken care of. So many of the businesses in grocery, they basically fail because of this pilferage part. So pilferage is, as you discussed about the risk, I would say one of the major risks in grocery business is pilferage, because at the end of the day, what the net margin that you will be saving is only around 4-5%. And if your pilferage somehow reaches 1.52%, then that business becomes risky. So whoever is starting an outlet has to keep in mind that this is one number which you have to have a good hold on. The pilferage should never go beyond 0.5% of the overall sales. Now, definitely in this model, even the biggest brands, no one can make the pilferage zero. So that's a very unrealistic kind of a thing. So that's why we have taken in our Excel also, in our financials also, we have taken 0.5% of pilferage. But we have to ensure that this pilferage doesn't go beyond this. So pilferage is one of the risks. Second risk, I would say, the point is key. I believe that the grocery market is so huge. Now, Indian grocery market currently is around 75 lakh crore per year market, and it's increasing at a rate that by 2022, it would be around 1.3, 1.4 lakh crore per year. So it's such a huge market that there is scope and there is room for everyone. Now, the only reason that grocery businesses go into negative is, first I discussed pilferage. Second, the person is not able to manage the operations well. And when I discuss about operations, it's majorly your products basically. So overstocking and understocking, these two are one of the major problems in grocery. If there is overstocking, you are putting your money somewhere where it is not giving you any returns, and at a margin of around 3-4-5%, that's not a good thing. If you are understocking, you are losing out on potential sales and with time potential customers. So there, of course, we have a very like Needs also and Nigam's Holding also have a very deep basically knowledge base in data analysis. And this analysis, whether at the SKU level or at the customer level, helps us in ensuring that we are not overstocking or understocking. So these two are the major, I think, pilferage and overstocking or understocking of your stock. These two are the major challenges. If I talk about market, definitely customers are there. There is market for everyone. We have to choose the property with this thing in mind, that it should be at a reasonable price. So the rental should not be way too high, because those kind of rentals are supported only by high margin businesses. And the best part in grocery is, if we are going for basically larger formats like 2000, 3000, 4000 square feet. So the best part is, we try to search for a property where there is one floor on ground floor and the next floor is in basement or first floor, because it's all about getting the customer in your store. Once the customer is in your store, then you can send them first floor or basement also for purchases. So that's why one floor, definitely we need a ground floor. The second, if we are going for a bigger format like 2000, 3000 square feet, we prefer that there are multiple floors so that the rental costs come down.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And now I'll invite Sonia to take up her view and some questions from the audience. We are sharing a lot of questions. So Sonia, over to you, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, Amit, once again, and thank you for leading this presentation for all our viewers on this webinar. And we see a lot of comments which are put by these investors, and these are very obvious times where, particularly your category has been most in demand. So I have few questions, Amit, which I want to ask, and also giving a perspective, while the entire world of the global economy is toiling under pressures and crises of all kinds, which is human, economic, financial, social, and industries and companies are struggling for their basic survival, and we have seen a lot of destruction in demand, but there are businesses like yours, which are not surviving, but they're thriving in these times, very inelastic in nature, and hence very high in demand. And like, Mr. Maurya mentioned, there's a choice which people make when they take a decision of buying a business, which is dependent on a lot of criterias, where primarily it is sustainability of the brand or the system altogether. The other is how the demand is being generated. Third being the support which a company offers, and also the stability of partners, along with the value of investment, which is the ROI which investors put in. And we also see in these times, this concept of convenience economy, which saw some kind of emergence in the year 2019, is becoming more prominent in these times more than ever. And this is a time where customers expect to empower their purchase and their goods, and they want to make it more convenient. And grocery definitely is one of the most talked about in these times, and it is one of the highest repeat cases for urban consumers. And we are currently seeing an inflection point in digital retail. Changing purchasing channels have changed. And one of the most fundamental changes that we are seeing today which is resulted from this crisis, is how people are consuming and which platforms they're consuming from. So my very first question to you is there a technology model which is taking advantage of the current ecosystem? Because you did mention about tech, but I don't know how it is integrated in the entire value chain, and how would it benefit the end consumer and your franchisee? While we talked about DRP, I like to understand the consumer interface here.
Yeah. So if we discuss about the tech part, definitely as of now, we don't have any consumer interface for that, but the tech supports our overall operations. So we have an ERP that ERP basically helps us in analyzing the data, that what all products, basically it automatically, like on a weekly basis, it generates a list for us that all these products are at a critical range and they need to be stocked again. Behind that, there is a logic, there is an algo that it calculates over the past 6 months. It calculates our weekly sales and gives a certain weightage to the previous month, a different weightage to the 2 months back, 3 months back. And based on that, it calculates that, okay, this is the average stock out in a week. So based on that, it gives us critical alerts that, okay, these products, etc., are going to be basically out of stock. So we need to order them. Apart from that, it gives us analysis over customers that, okay, these customers are purchasing more these kind of goods. These customers are tilted more towards basically buying discounted products. These customers buy more of rice product. These customers buy more of basically gourmet products. So based on all those factors, we can analyze that, and then we can throw the exact schemes or discount coupons, etc., to the customers. And if we talk about customer interface, so as we discussed that currently we will be doing online selling through third-party apps like Swiggy, Amazon, etc. But of course, in near future, like 1.5 years time, we will be coming over with our own app and website also for the same. Of course, initially we thought that we will be coming into it after around 2.5 years, but because of coronavirus, so because the reason being that no matter what we say, currently also the Indian grocery market is divided into a way that the modern trade holds around 10% of the overall sales, and online grocery holds only around 0.5% of the total sales. The rest, 90% approximately, is still with your old channels. So if we talk about online groceries and all that, they still have a very minuscule, though in absolute terms, it's a huge market. It's around, they are still catering to around 2,000 crore market. But in terms of percentage, they are catering to only around 0.5% of the overall market. So that's why we decided that we first have to expand, and after 2.5 years, we will go into online. But we expect that because of this coronavirus, this will grow a bit exponentially. So we expect that in around next 2 years, this online grocery market will reach a size of around 4 to 5% now. So that's why now we have decided that in like 1.5 years, we will come up with our own app and website also.
Okay, great. Amit, I think that's very helpful. I have another question which I want to ask, and I see that also being echoed by some of our viewers on this webinar. As a brand, how do you propose to position yourself vis-a-vis the competition which is available in the market? And we always feel, businesses today are built around and for the end consumers. And the biggest determinant that people have in making a choice is the brand or the trust they have for the companies or the brands they have been consuming. And I see people giving examples of these organized retailers, departmental stores like Walmart, Spencer's. So how do you find yourself, being positioned in front of these big players and maybe other unorganized players in the market, having also understand that today a lot of these companies, businesses are competing hyper local. There's a big hyper local competition which brands in these times will start facing. So what is your stake on this, and how do you see yourself addressing this situation?
Yeah. So first of all, coming over to your point of hyper local. So as we said that within 1.5 years, once we open our own channel, online channel, so we also will be part of the hyper local also. Though, as I said, that the hyper local or the online basically still has a very small percentage of the overall revenue, overall sales of the groceries. Part one. Now, if we talk about the offline players, so if we talk about the unorganized retail stores, so when we compete ourselves in terms of unorganized retail stores, so if we have 1,000-1,500 square feet outlet, what we like our USPs or our strengths over them is first of all the different number of SKUs, the range that we can provide. Second, because we are organized and we have multiple outlets running, which we will be increasing manifold in the coming few days, coming few months. So second is our purchasing power. So these are the two benefits that we have over the unorganized retail. Of course, unorganized retail has also their own benefits, like the entrepreneur or the person himself is sitting at the store, which in our case will come into picture because we are promoting FOFO outlets, basically franchisee owned, franchisee operated. The other benefit that the unorganized player is majorly of renters, because these people are sitting there for the past 5-10 years. So they have renters which are lesser, very less. So this is one area, but definitely we overcome this by our margins that we get because of our overall strength. So they are purchasing for one outlet and we are purchasing for 30 outlets right now. And with time we will be purchasing for 60 outlets, 80 outlets, 100 outlets. So this is one part. Now coming over to the bigger players like maybe Reliance Retail, etc. So they have a different, generally they have a different hyper market kind of a format. If we talk about our 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 square feet or 500 square feet models, they are more of neighborhood outlets. So that's why when I discussed the financials, I discussed one part which was the CMV, customer monthly value. So I discussed in that the overall for a family size of 4, the general grocery expenditure is around 12,000 to 15,000 rupees. So when we made our financials, so first of all, we are taking a retention rate of only around 30%. So that means we are assuming that if through marketing we get 100 customers to our outlet, only 30 will become our permanent customers. And these 30 permanent customers also, we are assuming that they will be purchasing from us only for an average of around 3,000 rupees. So we are not assuming that they will do the entire purchase from us, but since we'll be a neighborhood convenience store, so there will be a certain percentage of sales that will come through to us.
Great. Thanks, Amit. I think that is helpful. That answers, in fact, a lot of questions asked by the investors here. I have a question which people are also wanted to know. Is there a distribution model you have apart from an EBO? Because I think I see somebody asking about a distribution for some of the states. Or are we only targeting exclusive brand outlet for needs?
No, so we have a distribution model also that we call the supply master. So in that, basically in that distribution model, we are not just targeting our own franchisee stores, but we are targeting the local kirana guys also. So it's a B2B model where we target, since the point is that again, the thing comes that since we have a strong supply chain, so we have come up with that model where we are helping the local kirana guys get better prices at their outlets, because local kirana guys, they are like, generally they are single owners sitting at their outlet, so they cannot run to. Now first thing is that we need to understand the supply chain here. The grocery supply chain in India is very unorganized actually. So there is no single source from where you can say that you will get the best prices. Sometimes you get the best price from your distributor, sometimes you get the best prices from a wholesaler, sometimes you get the best prices from lots or metro cash and carry, etc. Sometimes even retailers buy from Big Bazaar also and then sell it, though it is not allowed because Big Bazaar do B2C only. So retailer cannot run everywhere. Now we as a team, as a company, we have a strong procurement team which looks after everywhere, and wherever we find best prices, we pick the products in bulk and then supply it to our kirana chain. So we have a B2B model also, which whoever investor is interested in that, we can discuss, I think, that separately, because that's not part of this PPT as such as of now.
Sure. Amit, I think that was out of curiosity somebody wanted to ask. I have a question. You know, we talked about FOFO model. We also talked about a master franchise model. And we all understand, you know, a category like this has very bleak margins. And I wanted to understand, you know, how much margins as a business model you have to share if we add another tier in between, which is a master franchisee and then sub-franchisees under him.
So that's why the master franchisee will be getting around 0.3 to 0.35% of the overall basically revenue. And so this 0.35% is like taken care by the brand basically. And the point is ki it's a huge volume game. So definitely on looking at the margins, they look very small. They look like 2%, 3%, 4%. But what we need to understand why going into a grocery business, and that's why we need to have a very tight holding on the pilferage part basically, that the margins are very small, but the volumes are very big. This part we need to understand. So if we talk about Walmart, of course, Walmart, one of the biggest players. So Walmart's net profit margin is approximately 1.2 to 1.3%. That is the net profit margin that they have. But if we talk in terms of number, their daily profit is around 450 CR rupees. So 450 CR INR is their daily profit. But if you talk about in terms of percentage, their net profit is around 1.2%. So those kind of numbers we are discussing here. If we talk about masters, we are looking that a master will be having a sales of around 2.5, 3.5 CR per month. So out of that 0.35%. And if we talk about outlets, we are looking at a sale of around 32 lakh rupees. And out of that, we are looking at a profit margin of around 4 to 5%. 5%.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. In fact, my screen has frozen. I don't know if I'm audible. I have a question for you, which has come from our viewers here. But they wanted to understand, you know, if needs is also what kind of product mix you have. Are you only promoting private label, or is it multi brand options which are available at the outlet? Somebody wants to know the difference between a FOFO and a FOCO model, and what impact would have these models have on the ROI?
Yeah. So if you talk about product mix, basically the thing is that at our outlets, like in Delhi NCR, we have almost 45,000 different SKUs that we are working with right now. And those SKUs include all the branded SKUs also, the gourmet products, the imported products, and our private label also. Now, what products they are at a certain outlet, that depends more on the market at that place. So like the Vatika store, which is our flagship store, we have almost 25 to 30,000 SKUs there. Now at stores which are like 500 square feet and where there is a very set requirement, we even have only around 1,000 SKUs there. But we majorly deal in all the major branded products and gourmet products, imported products, and our private label also.
Great. Amit, I think you've answered a lot of questions, but the questions are more pouring in. So I'll take few questions quickly to, more like a rapid fire with you to just
Yeah.
cover up a few questions. What is the percentage of rental one should take on sales especially in business like this?
The percentage of rental should not be more than 5 or 6% at max.
Out
Of the
the
expected sales. Of the expected sales.
Okay. Yeah, industry average is about 3.5%, but 5% would be a little higher in this space because you work on a only 17-18% absolute margin, and 5% goes there, and then you have other costs. You're left with very little. But yeah, at this stage, because of the rental would go down, so there can be a opportunity to get better rental spaces. The second question is, uh, you have mentioned the 500 to 5,000 square feet formats. Do you call them differently? Are they from a convenience stores to a full-fledged supermarket? And how it differs? Because we are getting a lot of investors writing on different formats. They are
Generally 400-500 square feet models we have in societies. And then we have, generally we have like 400-500-600 square feet models. And then we have around 5,000 square feet to 15,000 square feet.
So when you put the society one would always have a fruit and vegetable also, because that's more daily need. So would you include that?
So society one, of course, has a captive audience. So there, the benefit is that, as I said, that we can work with a lesser number of SKUs because with time we can see the pattern that what the people are buying basically. And there we have a captive audience, so we have a very fixed kind of a sales over there in societies.
Third question is training. You're not talking about training because you said entrepreneur is very important and works in entire thing. What kind of training you do for the franchisee and also for their teams?
Yeah. So as we discussed that first thing we will help in hiring the people, the manpower at the store, and then after that there would be a thorough training that will be provided to the entrepreneur. We would suggest the entrepreneur to come over to our head office, like to Gurgaon, for around a week's time to see all our operations at our outlets and understand those operations. And then the team, we will provide the team training and understanding of the processes at the location only. And that I discussed that process takes around 1 to 1.5 months.
Okay, if somebody as a big master, because I am seeing a lot of people who might get interested in master, but also included distribution. So would it not make sense that a master has also distribution under him, creates a distribution center? Because to me, this business is all about effective distribution. And you said only 1,000 square feet required to feed big stores under his territory. 1,000 would be too small. I mean, if somebody puts a big distribution center, handles the distribution and supports your franchisee, would not that be a great idea to do that?
Yeah, so we already have a supply master model, which we have already shared with you people also. We have not put it part of the PPT asset as of now, but of course, definitely, the more we consolidate at a single level, the more there would be synergies and all. So definitely, it would be good if the master is going for that distribution model also. But if the master is going for distribution model, definitely we would need a bigger warehouse. The 1,000 square feet warehouse we discussed was in terms of starting for a master franchisee. So when we are starting, 1,000 square feet model can support up to 4 to 5 outlets, 5, 6 outlets. So when we are starting for a master, we start with a 1,000 square feet outlet. And once we reach 5, 6 outlets, we upgrade it. But of course, if someone is going for a master plus B2B kind of a distribution model, then of course we would need a bigger warehouse. But definitely there would be more synergies and better ROIs, because there would be multiple avenues of uh, basically distributing our stock, liquidating our stock, and that helps many a times. Because sometimes what happens is that there is some product which is at your outlet which is moving slowly, and maybe you have a distribution model, so you can get some kirana or some third party guy who wants that, and you can sell it at a better price.
Sure, very helpful. My last question is, you have two identities. One is Needs, which is the founder is Mr. Ajay Dhar, and you run Nigam Holdings, which you, Amit Nigam, owns as a founder. What is the relationship in these two? And if for reasons this investor is signing up with whom, is signing up with you or with them? And if with you, what is the risk of your relationship on that with them? Or it is a tripart relationship? So I would like a little bit on that side.
Yeah. So first thing, that the investor would be signing the agreement with Needs only, Needs Supermarket Private Limited. If you talk about our relation, Needs and Nigam's Holdings, so we are partners with, so Nigam's Holdings, if I talk about Nigam's Holdings business structuring, so we partner with different brands and we become, we are not kind of consultants or anything, we become partners, we become shareholders in the company. And then we expand that company and develop their processes, streamline their processes, and expand that company. So we have a very strong relationship with Needs, but definitely the investor will be signing the agreement with Needs Supermart Private Limited.
Okay, that's very helpful. So this is from a little bit from my side. I will let Sonia put her final questions or remarks.
So I don't know if you want to take more questions because running out of time. Most of these questions have been answered. One question which I'm seeing, I'd like to ask, I mean, there's somebody who wants to know if there can also be a structure which is temporary, you know, which can be built with iron sheets and sheds to cover up and we put slabs, or there are certain locations or structure which is the requirement for Needs.
So the point is, key first foremost thing is that whatever place we are working from is legally authorized to carry on business activities. That is the first thing. Second thing is, if we are going for any temporary structure, maybe for in warehousing, we can go for that. But what we need to keep in mind is that there should not be avenues or regions which can do pilferage, because pilferage is the major basically critical worry in case of groceries. So we can go for like our own warehouse in Gurgaon. It's a 30,000 square feet warehouse. It's kind of a covered shed kind of a place, but of course it is legally allowed to carry business operations, and that's a very well built shed. So there is no scope for any kind of pilferage. So two things are there: that one, legally allowed for business activities, and second, it should be built in a way that there is no pilferage because of maybe rain or rodents, etc.
I have another question, Amit, which somebody wants to know. There's a gentleman called Mr. Sudarshan Dangi. He wants to know how supply will be done to other states. Are we looking at first appointing a master franchisee or a area distributor or CNF agent through which the supplies would be made? Or is it happening directly in case we have a unit franchisee being appointed in that particular city?
No, so whenever we start any city, we definitely start with a master franchisee, either a master franchisee or a distributor model. We definitely need one of that before starting any outlet, first thing. Second, if we talk about supplies, in grocery, it's not possible that I am sending supplies from here to maybe Bhopal or Patna or wherever. Definitely we will be procuring products from there only, from the distributors, from the wholesalers, from the cash and carries, etc. The benefit is that first of all, we have codes open with most of the major companies. So same codes will be applied there. So we will get the same volume benefit that we get here. And second is that we will have because we will start with the procurement. So we will have a team of around 3 to 4 people there who will be taking care of procurement and all to search for the best prices.
Okay, I have a question from Sanjana. She wants to know, in case of a master franchisee, is the fee one-time payment or is that for entire lifetime, which cannot be the case. So I want to put it the other way. How long is the master franchise agreement for?
So both the agreements, whether master franchisee or outlets, for 5 years.
Both the agreements, even unit is for 5 years and even the master is for 5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And the entire development for a master has to happen in these 5 years. And what happens after these 5 years? Who takes over the unit operating under the area?
So after 5 years, if we talk about the unit franchisee, definitely we would like to go ahead with that. We will again have a new franchisee agreement, renew that franchisee agreement. We will definitely, if the outlet is doing good, we don't want to close it or change it or anything. We definitely would like the outlet franchisee to go ahead with that, to carry on with that. And it's just kind of a customary renewal of the franchisee agreement after 5 years, in case of outlet franchisee.
Because many of these outlets will come up in the last year or would be signed up in the last year of the agreement between you and the master franchisee. So these would be assigned back to you, or in second scenario, you said you'll be renewed relationship with the master franchisee.
So with master franchisee also, generally, because the kind of look from master franchisee, of course, we are looking at support and local level networking also. So definitely we would like to continue if the relations are good, everything is going good, we would like to renew the master franchisee also.
Great, Amit. I think I've more or less covered most of the questions where I'm also seeing a lot of specific inquiries which are coming from specific cities. They want to know if you're available in that city, and many inquiries which I see pouring in are for a master franchisee for many states across the country. And I think we like to have, because this would require a little bit of more in-depth understanding of the partnership and the obligations and what these partners are bringing in and how you can support. So we like to take it up maybe one-on-one with all of them post this call between today or tomorrow per your convenience with all our viewers on this call. And I like to thank you, before and maybe a final word from everybody. Maybe you want to give to the listeners on this webinar before we sign off.
Yeah, so I would just like to say that basically we have come up into this expansion only after thorough deliberation, and only once we feel that we are strong enough right now. So we are looking for partners who are ready to pitch in with their full strength, because we also from our side will be putting our 100%. So we are looking for people who are ready to slug it out. And definitely in business, if you have to make a business successful, all the parties need to put their 100%.
Thank you very much, Amit. It was a delight to have you on the session. Very, very helpful. I think there's a lot of interest in your category. We feel that you are a seasoned entrepreneur yourself, and the company and brand needs is also very well established. I see a lot of people converting into a business relationship. We wish them luck. On one side, I would obviously say that while you are ambitious at this stage and there's a great opportunity, a lot of work has to be done, I think, on a technology side, because I personally feel the next big e-commerce would be your WhatsApp. And how do you integrate your business model where people can get both sides? One, I think the consumer interface of discovery, which means that they discover your stores and they discover your products and inventories and so on and so forth. Second, you are able to deliver them at their home or wherever convenience locations are. But second, also, which technology is going to do is going to be the user experience while you're in the store. And that something is something which people need to work on, because you need to know why they've come, what they wanted to buy, what was not available, what was available, what was their purchase decision delayed or declined because they were not able to find something on the shelf, and so on and so forth. So I think this time around, it will be a mix of local entrepreneurship, supersonic supply chain, and a great technology. If these three things to come together, then I think we have a perfect model to go through. I'm sure that you will work on that and you will bring in much better improvements in what you're currently doing. We are very excited about the partnership with Needs. We obviously at Franchise India would like to see your growth and would like to work with you on a growth journey. On our investor side, I would say all our investors who joined in, we thank you for joining in. Please understand the business in detail. We call it information. These seminars are run for information, giving you a lot of information which we can do in 1 hour. But then starts the evaluation. You need to work with Franchise India team and team at Needs and Nigam Holdings and Amit himself. They can run you through how to evaluate, is this business right for you? That's the second part. And then comes in third, which are negotiations. A lot of questions really jump on, would this work, which margin would work, and so on and so forth. All that are discussions between entrepreneurs can always happen. So we say information, evaluation, and negotiation, do it in this order. So this is the first stage of giving you a little bit of information. If you need more, we will put, Amit, you can put your email ID on the chat box so people can read on, while Archana would also send the information, and our teams at Franchise India would also be always available to help you out in terms of making the connection. So thank you very much from our side. Archana, over to you for a final note. Thank you.
Sure. So thank you so much, Gaurav sir. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for all your feedback, suggestions, and taking all the queries. So we really want to extend our thanks and appreciation to you, Amit, because we got some appreciation in chat box also for the excellent presentation and explanation about your brand. We look forward to have answer to all the queries to all the participants and friends who have participated to this webinar. With this note, we really want to say bye to you. Take good care of yourself and your family. Our best wishes with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia ji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you
Amit
so
ji.
much.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Have
Yeah,
a great
sure.
day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.